What's up, folks? I am Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to take a look at a band from Australia that got their start way back in the early 60s. They formed in 1964. The band called the Masters Apprentices. Well, sometimes I think they were just called the Masters over in their home country, but we know them as the Masters Apprentices from Adelaide, Australia. They started off with the lineup of Mick Bauer on guitar, Jim Keys on lead vocals, Rick Morrison lead guitar, Brian Vaughton on drums, and Gavin Webb on bass guitar. That would be the lineup for their first album, but that would change. And only one of those guys would kind of stay in the band. That would be Jim Keys on vocals, the classic lineup of the band, basically. Doug Ford on lead guitar, acoustic guitar, backing vocals, Colin Burgess, drums, percussion, backing vocals, and Glenn Wheatley, bass, percussion, and backing vocals alongside Jim on lead vocals. So we've got this interesting catalog here because you've got really 6 albums in total. So you have 5 studio records and 1 live album. The one cool thing about the live album, now you know I normally don't include live albums when I do these rankings, but this live album is basically comprised of all material that doesn't appear on their studio albums for the most part. So I'm going to include it here because it's mostly stuff that you don't get anywhere else, and it's really good. So I'm going to include that. So we got 6 albums in total. Most of their stuff was recorded in the late 60s to early 70s. They broke up for many, many years. They did a reunion back in the 80s and released their last studio album. So that's where I'm going to start. I only have 3 of these 6 albums on CD, so apologies for no visuals here on a couple of them. But my first choice for number 6 is going to be Do What You Want to Do, their reunion album from 1988. Their 5th studio album, produced by Peter Blyton for Virgin Records. Basically, I almost wasn't going to include this because basically it re-records a few of their hits. There's a couple covers and a couple new songs. So it's kind of like a hodgepodge. Hey, we're back together. Here's some of our classics. Here's a couple new tracks, and here's some cover songs. Howlin' at the Moon, Birth of the Beat, Bedtime Girl, decent enough songs. Those are some of the newer tracks. You know, the re-recordings of Because I Love You and Turn Up Your Radio, it won't make you forget the original versions, but they're fine for what they are. There's a kind of cool extended blues medley of some old classics, showing that my man Doug Ford, really good guitar player, can still rip on the guitar. This is not essential by any means, but worth a listen if you want to kind of check out the whole career of the Masters Apprentices. It's called Do What You Want to Do from 1988. Comes in at number 6 for me. Coming in at number 5, we're going to go all the way back to the beginning, the debut album with that original lineup, like I mentioned. It's called The Masters Apprentices from 1967. Produced by Max Pepper for Astor Records. Very much a psychedelic pop / garage rock album. It's amazing how this band really changed up things after a couple of albums. But there's some cool stuff on here. It's very much of its time, right? Got some stuff like But One Day. Cool song, trippy vocals, trippy guitars, very psychedelic. Wars or Hands of Time is kind of similar. You got lots of tremolo effects on the guitar, and the whole song is dripping in reverb. It's amazing how, like I said, how much the band is different because it's a totally different lineup, and how much the guitar sound differs from the first record to some of the stuff that came afterwards. You got lots of covers on here. You got lots of jangly, bluesy kind of feels to some of the, and kind of more of a garage rock take on stuff by Bo Diddley, the Beatles, Otis Redding, Wilson Pickett, Chuck Berry. So they're taking all popular songs from some of these bands and redoing them. But to me, the original stuff is more interesting. You got Undecided, which rocks pretty nicely. It's got some early fuzz guitar, which is kind of cool to hear. There's the groovy psychedelic pop of Theme for a Social Climber. Buried in Dead, also pretty energetic and raw. It's a fairly fun album, right? Got the covers, got some cool original stuff, very much of its time. Psychedelic, garage, rock and pop, very cool. Probably a bit too many covers for my taste, right? But again, cool for what it is. Amazing how much they would change going forward. So that is my number 5. My number 4 is going to be their second album called Masterpiece from 1970. So this one produced by Howard Gable for EMI Columbia Records. Opening title track, raw, rockin' instrumental with some stinging lead guitar from Doug Ford. kind of weird. They have all this piped in like crowd noise as if it was like live, like all this constant screaming like by women and people and whatnot. It's kind of annoying because it's a really cool instrumental. We don't need to hear the screaming people, the screaming kids at the show, which obviously this was done in the studio and they just kind of put that in. So it's like whatever. But that's a cool song. Who Do You Think You Are? Similar to the first album, kind of like that kind of trippy psychedelic garage rock pop type of thing. Barefoot, when I saw her, kind of quirky, kind of reminds me of like early 70s UK glam pop, right? Like T-Rex and stuff like that. Pretty cool, pretty fun. St. John's Wood is kind of charming psychedelic pop. Got horns on it. It's pretty cool. 5.10 Man, old school rock and boogie. It's okay. A Dog, a Siren, and Memories sounds like it's got like strings, like an orchestra. I don't think they have Mellotron at this point yet in time. Well, it's 1970, so there is Mellotron around, but I don't think they were using it. To me, it sounds like a mini orchestra or something. Nice acoustic guitar, dreamy vocals, pretty cool. Linda's kind of quirky pop mixed with some weird kind of vaudeville style music. There's kazoo on it. It's very bizarre. Isabella, really weird psych. But the acoustic guitar playing is really good on it. Captivating voice, that doesn't do much for me. Pete of Me, that doesn't do much for me. But Titanic, very cool psychedelic pop. Again, with more layers of acoustic guitars and vocals and trippy effects. That's pretty fun. Cool electric guitar solo on that too. How I Love You closes, more of those acoustic guitars. Then it comes like you get a biting electric guitar solo. It's got like this kind of floating atmospheric vibe. I like it. There's lots of varied material here. Not all of it works for me, but it's an intriguing listen. That's coming in at number 4. Number 3, we're going to go to their 4th and final album at the time, produced by Jeff Jarrett, not Jeff Jarrett the wrestler, Jeff Jarrett for EMI Columbia in Australia and Regal Zonophone in the UK. That is Toast to Panama Red. That's this album right here. This is a 2-on-1 compilation from Buy or Die Records. Whether this is official or not, I don't know. I've had this for ages. Has both Choice Cuts and Toast to Panama Red. This is the album we're talking about here. Answers Lie Beyond opens kind of a bluesy jam featuring some stinging lead guitar solo, high-pitched vocals from Jimmy Keys. You know, I should go and mention, he's not really a great singer, but I think his voice works fine on these albums. He's not offensive. I don't really like walk away from these records thinking, oh, that guy's a really great singer. I like this stuff for the vocals. I like it for the arrangements and the songs and the guitar playing for sure. He's fine. He's fine for what he is. But it's pretty cool. Beneath the Sun, it's trippy psychedelic rock. Long song for them. It's just over 6 minutes. Kind of slow, but picks up the pace as it goes on. There's a really nice psychedelic guitar solo on it and big fat bass grooves. There's lots of cool bass on these albums. Games We Play Part 1. Even longer piece, just under 7 minutes. Some scalding lead guitar from Doug Ford. This guy is the real deal. It's got some folky interlude sections, acoustic interlude sections, which are pretty cool between some of the fuzzy psychedelic harder rock stuff. Games We Play Part 2. It's kind of like early Doom on some of this. Like some of this stuff is pretty heavy. There's these big dark riffs supported by acoustic guitar and spoken word vocals and a choir. It's oddly weird, oddly unsettling, but it works. Very different for them. The Lesson, So Listen is riffy hard rock, kind of boogie rockin' spots, but then it's got this kind of jammy psychedelic guitar soloing. A lot of this album is very like unstructured. It sounds like half the songs are like jams, which I'm fine with, because the jams are good. That's the important thing. Love is more like a haunting folk rock song. Lots of cool lead and backing vocals on it. There's a choir on it. Lush acoustic guitars. There's some brass on it. Pretty cool song. Melodies of St. Kilda. That's high energy hard rock. Similar to what we heard on the album before, which I'll get to in a minute. Southern Cross, fun track. It's the B-side to Love Is. You can get it on some of these. And probably the most accessible song here. To me, it sounds like early Doobie Brothers rootsy biker rock. Pretty cool. Sizzling lead guitar on it. Really good. And Time to Rhyme. It's kind of like acoustic folk. Some spacey sounds, almost like space rock. It's kind of a weird album in spots. Kind of directionalist. You know, some of the songs sound like they're not really fully realized and just jams and stuff, but I like quite a bit of it. It's a very cool album. So a lot of people really dig this album a lot, and I do as well. Number 2, I'm going to go with that live album from 1971, Nickelodeon. All right. Like I said, it's a live album, but it's made up of mostly new material that don't appear on any of the other studio albums. Future of Our Nation opens up heavy, heavy, heavy stuff. Booming, big fuzz riffs, crushing drums, scorching lead guitar, really good vocals on this track. And the production of the album sounds like you're sitting there in the front row. Very cool. It's heavy, really heavy. Then you got a near 20-minute cover of Evil Woman. Again, that's an old blues song made sort of famous by Spooky Tooth on their Spooky 2 album. Pretty heavy. Dun, 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 dun. It's got an amazing riff. And here, it's 20 minutes. It's quite heavy. Really taking the same approach as Spooky Tooth, but kind of extending on it. Lots of jamming, lots of wailing vocals, solos. Really good. They do their hit Because I Love You on here, which is kind of a weird fit because I Love You is pretty mellow, pretty like psychedelic pop, and it's mixed in with all this other heavy, jammy stuff. It's kind of strange, but I guess they got to put, one of their singles on here, so it's, whatever. And then another newer song called Light a Fire Within Yourself, which is kind of similar to Because I Love You, but it's more of like a psychedelic rock song as opposed to pop, and it kind of like it's a slow builder. It gets a little more rocking towards the end, builds in intensity. When I've Got Your Soul, blistering blues rock jam. Woo! Doug's guitar work is absolutely sizzling here. I mean, this guy can play. And live, I guess, was where to really catch him, because he is just on fire on this album. Then you got Fresh Air by the Ton, which is the closer. Another heavy blues rock track with more scorching lead guitar from Doug Ford. Really good. It's like just over 9 minutes long. This is mostly raw, uncompromising stuff. Pretty heavy for the most part. Killer guitar playing. Definitely don't sleep on Nickelodeon. Again, I'm including it here because it's mostly stuff that doesn't appear anywhere else. And then my number 1. My number 1 is a very cool album, and I showed it before. It is called Choice. Originally just called Masters Apprentices, but they renamed it Choice Cuts later on. It's their 3rd album, produced by Jeff Jarrett. I'll point to it, make sure you look at the right one. Produced by Jeff Jarrett for EMI, Columbia Records in Australia, Regal Zonophone in the UK. Right from Rio de Camaro, the first track, you can tell things are moving in a completely different direction from the album that came before, the albums that came before. Much riffier, big fuzz tone on the guitar, drums and percussion are heavy, big upfront bass presence. Really good. The song Michael reminds me of some of Jethro Tull's material on the Stand Up or Benefit album. Kind of riffy blues, folk rock. Guitar's killer, good groove, guitar solo outstanding, lots of busy bass playing, really good. Excellent song. Easy to Lie, blistering hard rock, getting kind of like a mountain vibe on here, Leslie Weston Mountain, especially on the guitar tone. Because I Love You gives you a taste of their earlier psychedelic pop material. That's kind of like a hint at the past. Nice vocal harmonies, acoustic guitars. Released as a single, like I mentioned, and made it to number 12 in Australia. So that's like one of the tracks on here that was a nice hit for them and kind of hinted at their earlier stuff. But here on this heavier album kind of like stands out a little bit as something a little different, but a return to the earlier sound. Caddy, pretty heavy hard rock. Love the riff, scorching guitar solo. Our Friend Owsley Stanley III, again, sounds like early Jethro Tull. You got some killer flute, driving hard rock guitar, really good. Death of a King, similar type vibe. Catchy, bluesy, hard rock track, really good. You got a amazing guitar lick that opens up Song for a Lost Gypsy, which, again, reminds me of To Cry You a Song by Jethro Tull from Benefit. A lot of the stuff on this album reminds me of stuff on the Benefit album, which is really, really cool. If you're a fan of that album, you'll love this. And it rocks hard. Song for Joey Part 2, short acoustic guitar instrumental, nicely done, closes the album. I really enjoyed this album a lot. Really enjoyed this album a lot. And, as much as I like Because I Love You is kind of a cool song, like a cool, like kind of like psych pop single, it's probably my least favorite song on the album. all this other stuff rocks really hard and is really good. So yeah, it's my Masters, Apprentices, Choice Cuts, whatever you want to call it. The third studio album is my number one. My number two is going to be Nickelodeon, the live album. Number three is going to be Toast to Panama Red. Number four is going to be Masterpiece, second album. Number five, The Masters, Apprentices, 1967 debut album. And number six is going to be Do What You Want to Do, the reunion album from '88, which is kind of like a hodgepodge of all sorts of different stuff. So that is my ranking for The Masters, Apprentices from Australia. Let us know what you think of these albums and how you would rank them down in the comments below. If you've never heard this band before, you're new to them, maybe you've always wanted to check them out, or maybe you just never heard the name before, ever. Hopefully you got some stuff to check out. I have definitely these three right here. Choice Cuts, Toast to Panama Red, and Nickelodeon are must-hears if you like early 70s heavy rock. Definitely go check them out. And this is on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell to get alert of all of our content as a post. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below, got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, our Cameo page, and the Sea of Tranquility membership options all down below. Thanks in advance for all your support, folks. Greatly appreciated. We'll see you soon here with more stuff. Another Ranking the Album show coming up next week. Till then, I am Pete Pardo. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.